Cyberpunk Edgerunners pulls you into its fully realized and stylish world, takes you on an emotionally compelling ride, and gives you a conclusion that is hard to stomach. The initial appeal of this anime is the world and the setting in which this particular narrative is told. Night City is a vibrant spectacle that's simultaneously similar to our world and noticeably different. The citizens of the city boast cybernetic enhancements that alter their capabilities and how they operate within this world. But that's not the limit to their use. The people who populate this story don't simply showcase the technology, they embody the culture that's been developed in this cyberware-dependent society. The way each person speaks is an intentional showcase of the difference between our world and this one, while also showing the class divide that exists within Night City. The speech patterns are similar-ish among the varying classes, but the subtle differences in vocabulary, those are the main tell. This attention to vernacular detail made listening to the conversations all the more interesting and allowed me to gain insight into a character simply by how they spoke. While the language is used effectively to convey the differences between individuals and their places in society, the overt show of the class divide is integral in this story and this society at large. The societal divide that exists between the haves and the have-nots is what drives the plot of this story. It creates the situations that our main cast have to respond to and embeds this story with a sense of tension. I was constantly worried about when the next person would die and if it would be due to a rival crew or those who serve to maintain order within Night City. The constant uncertainty I felt was a direct parallel to what was felt by the characters. Yes, they lived with the expectation that tomorrow was inevitable, but they understood that it didn't have to be. Living in this way, combined with the web of interconnected relationships, added a level of care for what was occurring on screen. I wanted to see people live another day, not just because I cared about them, but because I knew those who relied on and loved them. Many of the characters had deep ties to others within this narrative, so when a character died, it felt heavy. It noticeably affected all those involved, myself included. The characters and their stories were the lifeblood of this anime. They added the human elements in this otherwise technology-centric story. Earlier, I mentioned that the initial appeal of this anime is the setting where everything takes place. And while this is true, the reason people get hooked is due in large part to the characters that we follow. David Martinez is the main character of this anime, and he's perfect for this role in the story. Through David, I was able to learn more about this world and see all of its imperfections. I was allowed to see Night City for what it truly was, and in that realization, I better understood the rationale of those who put their lives on the line as edgerunners. In this dark and unforgiving world, David served as a beacon, a blazing torch that dared to shine within this dark world. It's this reality that allows David to forge lasting bonds and also leads to him burning himself out. The story of David Martinez is filled with moral and emotional complexity. It has its high points alongside its low ones, but at the end of the day, it ends with David doing what he does best, chasing the dreams of others in the attempt to bring them joy. To put it simply, David's life can be described as him living a life aimed at fulfilling the dreams of those closest to him. As the series progressed toward its end, I was introduced to an array of colorful characters that added life in this story in entertaining ways. I grew to know the crew that David ran with, and this not only served as an introduction, but it also built emotional connections. And due to those connections, when people died, it was impactful. The experience of meeting individuals and watching them die later on was handled in such an effectual way, especially given that this anime only has 10 episodes. Now, the first few losses were tough, but the later ones, those hit different. Like David, I'd grown attached to the characters that managed to stay alive, so when certain people eventually lost their lives, it hurts. This parallel experience that I had with David allowed me to empathize with him, making me root for successes even more as those in positions of power aim to use him for their own nefarious, self-serving purposes. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is an anime that takes its toll on you emotionally. The lives led by the individuals on screen are hard and unforgiving, so when something beautiful is showcased, I wanted nothing more than for it to thrive. And there ended up being something of beauty in this broken world. That being the relationship formed between David and Lucy. This relationship is quite possibly the only positive thing to come out of this story, and it was handled beautifully. I grew invested in how they matured alongside each other and brought out parts of each other that were previously hidden. Seeing their relationship blossom was the highlight of my viewing experience, and that made the ending even harder. I cried again. I cried because of the love that existed between David and Lucy. I understood why he made the choice he did, but that didn't make it any easier to watch. And I was happy that Lucy was able to live on and accomplish her dream, but I was devastated that she was alone. The ending is the perfect representation of the realities of Night City. You might accomplish your dream, but you'll lose people in the process, if not your own life. The unfortunate reality is that you'd be lucky to have anything of beauty in this world, so if you are that fortunate to have it, cherish it for as long as you can because it won't last. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is still an amazing anime, and after watching it for the second time, I can say that with the utmost confidence. This story is not a happy one, but I was happy to have experienced it. You see, it's stories like this that keep me invested in the art of storytelling, because when you find a story that you love, a story that speaks to you, experiencing it is unlike anything else. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching this video and making it to the end. If you enjoyed this video, then you have to subscribe to the channel. I don't make the rules, but I do have to enforce them, so I thought I should let you know. Thank you again for watching this video, and since you subscribed, I'll be seeing you in the next one. All right, two things to get out here. One, I have a love-hate relationship with this anime. Like, it's up there for me. It's like in my pantheon of like favorite anime, right? But because of like the story that's being told, it is so hard to watch. Like, when you know you're getting into a story that's gonna make you cry, like, it's bittersweet. It's like, I love that a story can be so emotionally compelling that like I'm sobbing by the end of the series, like the end of the 10 episodes. But it's also like, I don't want to sob. You know, like sometimes you don't want to, sometimes you love something and you want to experience it, but you don't want the negative emotions that come with it. You know, I don't know. It's just that bittersweet thing for me. Also, after that little ramble, I'm on Substack. So if you want to see the essays that I write for these videos, because I read them off a script, I will have my Substack linked in the pinned comment, I think, in the description below. I'll be putting up just the essays I've written for these videos that I have on this channel. So if you're interested or you're on Substack, check me out. I have it linked below. I think that's it. Oh, the only critique I have for Cyberpunk, I wish it was 12 episodes. I think making it 12 episodes will give it a little bit more time to let certain ideas and let certain relationships like linger and blossom a bit longer, if that makes sense. To make the climax hit even harder, if that makes sense. Hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully I'm not just rambling and talking out the side of my neck, but yeah, that's like my only critique. But even with 10 episodes, it does so much so well. So I think that's all I got to say. But man, when I tell you I cried again, but it was a good cry. It was a good cry.